Hello, and welcome to the stakeholder brief of the United States Coast Guard Academy Mentoring Program. My name is Tobias Olson from the Admiral Loy Institute for Leadership, and I'll be briefing you today. We will be covering three major topic areas of this system today. First will be an introduction to the architecture and framework of the program. That'll be followed by a systems capability demonstration, and then we'll finish out with some analytics on results and outcomes. So let's jump into the introduction and framework. In an effort to get you comfortable with the platform, we wanted to first briefly introduce you to where it all begins, here on our homepage. It is from this global location that people can navigate to the areas that are most suited for their mentoring needs. The global homepage is uscga.cronus.com. The system also has full functionality on mobile devices through an integrated app for Android or Apple devices. The system also works for us across all internet domains such as the .mil, .edu, .org, .gov, and .com domains. This welcome page brings potential mentors and mentees in and allows them to navigate to areas where they may want to participate. You can see here we have a number of different mentoring paths to choose from, and behind each one of these tracks is a deeper dive into what that particular track is used for. For example, you can click Find Out More on any one of these for a deeper understanding. Let's take this one, Cadet Mentoring, for example. Here a person can read all about the different program information and any relevant content at that time. This is all fully controlled by the Coast Guard admin. Now, across the top here, you will see additional tabs for additional program information to give more information on what is expected from participants. For example, you can see here we have frequently asked questions, ground rules, and expectations. We want people to be fully informed before they commit to the program. Once people read through the programs and decide that they want to join one or more or all of them, now all they have to do is hit the Join Now button, and they'll be prompted to complete a profile. Now let's do a little bit deeper dive into each one of these mentoring tracks. Now that you've seen a live view of our site, we are going to use this global homepage as an outline for describing the architecture of our program to show you possible building blocks for a program. You'll hear me use terms like tracks and global. Tracks refer to individual program elements of mentoring. In our case, we have 6 tracks. Global refers to all of the tracks rolled up under one global program. We're going to give you a brief overview on each one of these tracks that you see here, and each track provides a different method, service, or capability to the participants. The 6th track is not visible, and more on that later, so let's dig in. This first track is our traditional bread and butter program called Cadet Mentoring. It is a formal one-to-one program where a mentee is paired with a Coast Guard mentor for the year or more. Matches are largely based on the critical characteristics that we identify in the profile form. Some of these characteristics are leadership development goals, career desires, or other needs of the mentee. Our next track is Circle Mentoring, which is a one-to-many design. Circle mentoring involves a few Coast Guard subject matter experts who mentor large groups of mentees in high-demand, high-interest subject matter. You can set up circles to cover any subject area that is strategic to your organizational goals, or that your workforce shows a higher desire to learn about. We will describe later how we leverage system analytics to build out our current 5 mentoring circles. Next is Flash Mentoring, which is a many-to-one design, or what some people call situational mentoring. This makes the entire pool of mentors available to any mentee who is seeking out specific guidance on something important to them. Flash Mentoring is usually a one-off meeting that can cover anything like, what's it like to be stationed in Ketchikan? Or, how do I put in for a special assignment? You will see later how the system filters and keyword searches allow mentees to very quickly hone in on specific mentors for their situation. Next is our Scholars Program. This one-to-one program is leveraged for recruiting, retention, and developmental goals. This program provides mentors to prospective Coast Guard Academy cadets who were accepted into the Scholars Program while they complete their year at the Naval Academy Preparatory School, Marion Military Institute, or Georgia Military Institute. This program provides the scholars with mentors to help them through their prep school year to set them up for success prior to entering the Academy as a fourth-class cadet. The next track is the Academy Minority Outreach Team, or AMOT, program. It is currently under development for release soon. This one-to-one program is specifically designed to provide mentoring access, support, and opportunity to underrepresented populations. This is a holistic program that involves recruiting, retention, and developmental growth over the long term. Ideally, this mentoring starts when identified prospective cadets are still in high school and will continue to last through their academy career and follow them once they get into the fleet. Lastly is the core values track, which is hidden from the homepage. This is a formal one-to-one track for cadets who need assistance in aligning their values with the Coast Guard's core values. This is a formal 11-week guided program for cadets who have struggled or diverted substantially off course but are still capable of a recovery. This is a rigorous program that is guided by a mentor and involves reflections, journaling, essays, and many other discussions of self-growth. At the end, they compile all their work and artifacts from within the platform to produce and route a final portfolio, which will factor into the adjudication of their case. The goal of this program is to have the cadet learn from their experience and go on to become productive and performing member of the Coast Guard. Because of the sensitivity of this program, access has role-based restrictions. That wraps up the introduction and framework. Now let's jump into the system demonstration. When you click the Join Now button, you're brought to fill out a profile form like this mentee form. It may seem routine, but we have found this is one of the most critical parts of the program. You have to put very deliberate thought into the questions you ask and how they are answered. Later, you'll see why this is so critical. Here at the beginning, we have basic contact information like name and email and location and phone number. And then we ask some demographical questions like ethnicity, gender, language fluency, and affinity councils. Many of our users say they like the About Me profile field best because it gives such great insights when you're seeking out specific experiences from a mentor. There are a few other information gathering fields here used to paint a holistic picture for each person. OCS also participates in some of our programs, and this is where they identify themselves. This next question is one of our strategic matching drivers. We gather information about our mentors' career specialties, so we are able to accurately match them with cadets who are interested in learning more about those specific specialties. Our next strategic matching driver has to do with leadership development. From the Coast Guard's Leadership Development Framework, we ask mentors what leadership competencies they excel in. And from there, we are able to match them with cadets who want to improve in those leadership areas. When you have your profile fields developed, you can then build out how to employ the matching algorithm to best match mentors and mentees. With this system, we can choose any question or combination of questions and weight them by level of importance. We currently use 4 of the questions in our matching algorithm, which we will demonstrate in a moment. This is fully customizable by the admin. Once enrolled, the mentees have the ability to now search through all of the available mentors. Here, I will demonstrate using my mentee's profile working on her behalf. When you click on Mentors in the toolbar, it brings up all of the several hundred mentors in the program. It rank orders them for the mentee based on how you have your algorithm set up, strategically based on our profile field questions. This is where the matching starts. So matching can be done in 3 ways. First, it can be completely automated by the system based on the algorithms you set up, and the system will automatically make the matches for you. On the other end of the spectrum, you can have the mentees self-select their own mentors based on their own criteria. Or you can run a hybrid of the two, where the mentee can submit a list of their mentors in a dream sheet, and then the program manager completes the slate. For a large program with lots of members, I would recommend the mentee is able to select their own mentors without admin involvement. So, for example, if a mentee is looking for a mentor and this screen is in front of them, these are the 6 system recommended matches rank ordered from the top. However, the mentee can do a deeper dive by doing filters or keyword searches to narrow in on the specific qualities that they are looking for in a mentor. For example, if this mentee is looking for an active duty female enlisted member with 10 or more years of service, she can apply the filters just like this, and now we've gone from several hundred mentors down to a smaller list of just 5. This is a very easy way for people to focus in on exactly what they're looking for in a mentor. Once a connection is made between a mentor and a mentee, a new area opens up here within the platform under Mentoring Connections. When you click on this, in this case Olson and St. Ledger, it brings up what's called a connection plan. This connection plan is a roadmap over time for me and my mentee to work from. This is completely customizable and can be as detailed or as fluid as you want to make it in your organization. There are links and reminders embedded in the plan to do things like set up meetings or fill out periodic surveys. Also on the right, you can quickly see your progress with your mentoring partner, along with things like upcoming meetings, check-in time, and goal tracking. Also, there are several tabs along the top to help you. The second tab is an inbox where the mentor and the mentee can message each other, which comes in really handy when using the app. The Meetings tab is a place where you can set up future meetings or record past meetings. And this meeting feature has the capability to integrate and sync with most desktop calendar programs like Outlook or Google Calendar. The Goals tab is a place where you can identify and track your progress towards the goals that you have set up. And lastly, this section allows you to take notes and journal on anything that is relevant to your relationship. Once you're up and running with your matches made, the system is very agile with reports and sensors to give the Coast Guard a way to monitor the health of the program in general and our connections individually. Each track, and in our case 6 tracks, has a program level dashboard like the one you see here. This gives you real-time data on what's happening in your track. But now I'd really like to demonstrate just a few ways in which we can make sure that this program is healthy. There's a section over here built in called Health Reports. These are completely configurable and they all update in real time based on user activities. I won't go into all of these, but I will demonstrate just a couple for you. First, I'll show you the data that we get from surveys. In this case, I'm going to show you a checkpoint survey that we get from members about halfway through. The data gets aggregated, and we can very quickly see how most people are feeling about their relationship. For example, in this first question we asked them, how satisfied are you with your mentoring partnership so far? You can see here that almost all mentees were either very satisfied or satisfied with their relationship. This indication down here that we had somebody who was dissatisfied enables us to intervene and find out how we can improve their specific situation. We can dig deeper into the comments below to find the narrative on why people answered the way they did. Now down here, we ask another question, rate the progress towards completing your goals. And it's good to see that most people are either on track, ahead of schedule, or completed with their goals. Again, we have more open-ended questions down here to get a better sense of what people are thinking. Now, down here is a very important key indicator for us. We asked participants if they wanted to be rematched with a different mentor. 100% of the respondents said no. This is a great health indicator for your program, and especially of how your matching program is working. In totality, all these metrics tell us that we are asking the right questions in the profile fields and using the right algorithm to match people based on those. But what about the people who didn't answer this survey? Again, we have other sensors built in to help us make sure that all relationships are active and healthy. For example, This is a mentor check-in report. Here we can see who's meeting and when and how often. If we are seeing inactivity in any one of the individual relationships, we can gently inquire to make sure everything's okay. Most of the time it is. But this is not only important for the individual participants, but it's also important for our global level outcome analysis. And we'll dig into that a little bit more later. But these are just a few of the many systemic gauges and meters that can be used to monitor the health of your program. Next, we want to touch on another very powerful feature of this platform. This system allows for a robust architecture for building out a resources library. Our library gets a lot of use from all participants, and I will briefly cover some of the things we provide to make the mentoring partnerships even stronger and deeper. Anybody who's enrolled can easily navigate to the left-hand toolbar and select on resources. Some of the custom resources we have built are provided here for your review. For instance, we have warehoused all of the officer career guides that we know to exist. Our members can just click on any one of these career guides to bring you to the latest version that we have. Next is a career track discussion framework. This was developed in partnership with the Personnel Service Center and provides a very deliberate and detailed engagement outline for mentors to discuss with their mentees. It covers everything from the basic information on specialties to deep dives on what one could expect from an entire career of being in that specialty. Lastly is another popular resource. OPM4 was gracious enough to partner with us to record podcasts that complement and augment the career track discussion framework we just mentioned. These podcasts are embedded within the platform and are the latest and up-to-date information from OPM, akin to OPM roadshows, but customized for the newest officers in the service to help them make better career decisions.
Assignment expectation and decisions.
At the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned the global program, which is a roll-up of all the individual tracks. Up until now, we've mostly been talking about tracks, but I want to briefly bring you to see what the global executive summary looks like. Here is the hierarchy of our 6 tracks, all under one program called USCGA Mentoring. When I click on this, it aggregates all of the data into a single global view. Here we can see how many active members we have in the program and how many ongoing engagements we have at any one time under all 6 tracks below. When I click on the executive dashboard, it brings me to a customized reporting page that shows us different information about our entire population that is important to our mentoring strategies. One thing that's very important is the user satisfaction rate, which is currently at 93%. This number is specifically derived from the thousands of answers that we get in our automated survey system. Now, below, we have many live reports that update in real time. Many of these reports show diversity through different lenses. For example, this is diversity by affinity council, and down here is diversity by gender, or here we have diversity by years of professional experience among our mentors. Here is a side-by-side comparison of diversity of career paths. From here, we found that we have a supply and demand issue with mentors and mentees in certain areas. For example, through doing a gap analysis, compared mentees and mentors with career paths, we found that we have a supply deficiency of mentors in aviation, prevention, legal, and intel specialties. Now, if you go back to our circles track, you will find that we have established mentoring circles to account for this high demand and low supply by creating circles in these career areas. Now, you can have these reports be made to show diversity by ethnicity or diversity by gender of your entire population to find out who's interested in being mentored. When I compared these numbers against the general population of the entire Corps of Cadets, For example, I find that most minorities enroll in the mentoring program at a rate that reflects the entire population of the Corps of Cadets. However, those of Asian ethnicity enroll at a much higher rate, almost 2 times that of the general population. I also find a similar situation here with gender. Although the Academy is only about 36% female, we had just about as many females enroll in the program as we did males, which tells us that among our entire population, women are much more likely to seek a formal mentor than their male counterparts are. We've now covered the introduction and framework and a system capabilities demonstration. Now we're going to wrap up by showing you some potential results and outcomes of a mentoring program. We'll take a look at the 3 potential outcomes of the Coast Guard program. We will look at the vitality of the system, and we're also going to look at some business intelligence regarding the retention and performance of participants. First, let's take a look at program vitality. One of the key indicators of the vitality of your mentoring program could be the rate at which your connections remain active over time. We want to connect people and have it be a meaningful relationship that stands the test of time. There's a section here within the platform called Outcome Reports. I am quickly going to demonstrate a report that shows the health of your connections over time. In the first year of running this program, we made a number of connections in September here. And this graph shows how those connections survived over the first year. And as you can see, the connections remain constant, and there were even a few more connections added in along the way. Participants in the program are offered a number of off-ramps to disband their connection for any number of reasons without any retribution. So if our relationships were not healthy, we would have expected this graph to tail off in a downward direction. But instead, it remains constant, even with a little bit of growth. You can also see here the popularity of the program as we just did our second year launch, where the number of connections more than doubled for this particular track. And most of the connections from the previous year came back to remain connected for a second year. Now, you can also use these filtering selectors on the side to see the connection vitality of any number of population segments that are of interest to you. Now, let's shift gears and look at the military performance of the mentees who participated in this mentoring program. This first graphic is the aggregated data from performance evaluation reports. All of the evaluation performance dimensions are listed along the rows to the left. Then, this first column of data shows the average rating of mentees who participated in the mentoring program. And then this column to the right shows the average ratings of all others who did not participate in the mentoring program. Of the tens of thousands of data points that we have, the raw data indicates that those in the mentoring program had higher average scores in every single performance dimension. In running a chi-squared statistical analysis, we have found that there was a statistical significance in at least 7 of the performance dimensions, meaning that with a 95% confidence interval, we can attribute their increase in performance to participation in the cadet mentoring program. Now, let's briefly take a look at the performance evaluation data over time in this second graphic. This time-based chart shows performance evaluation data of mentees in the program, which is the blue line, contrasted against those who didn't join the program, which is the orange line. This vertical gray line marks the period in time in which mentees entered into the mentoring program. The data indicates that up until this point, the performance data was similar whether you were in the program or not. However, the data also indicates that after receiving a mentor and going into the future, those with a mentor started pulling away from their non-mentored counterparts. We have a lot more data to collect over a longer period of time to test this hypothesis, but we wanted to present the hard data to you because it seems to indicate a very practical significance of mentoring to performance outcomes. Lastly, let's take a look at some raw retention data. I will caveat this by saying we don't yet have enough data to prove or disprove our hypothesis that this mentoring program improves retention. What we do have is the raw data that can show a practical reality. This data reflects only retention after the halfway point of the academy experience, where attrition in general is much less likely. This is also the point at which mentees' access to enroll in the program begins, starting their junior year. The raw data indicates the attrition rate among non-participants was 2.5 times higher than those being formally mentored. We are not ready to say there is a direct correlation between participating in this program and the likelihood of being retained. However, this does provide a powerful practical significance to promote, grow, and provide better access to mentoring for all. We look forward to collecting more data and conducting more research in this area in the future. Lastly, I'll leave you with this fantastic graphic showing the locations of all of our amazing participants across the globe. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to share this program with you, and I remain ready to help in any capacity that I can.